So we'll just jump right into it. If you can start us off. This is voters organized. What is
Voters
this?
organized to educate.
Voters organized to educate. And if you start us off by telling our community who you are, why you're running to represent District E on the City Council.
Yes. Okay, so my name is Danyelle Christmas. I am running for City Council, District E. I'm running for a number of reasons, but I'll try to consolidate it. One, first time being, my father was wrongfully convicted of murder when I was 4 months old. He was arrested while I was in the backseat of the car. His trial lasted less than 15 days. His witness was belligerently drunk on a witness stand. So he was sentenced to death row and go to prison for 10 years. So that kind of started the spark on why I was running, because we took those rides to Angola all the time on those long bus rides. We took those rides. He used to make us bracelets. So we had the little bracelets and all that. And every time I talk to him on the phone, we'll say, when are you coming home? And he'll say soon. But he knew it probably wasn't never going to happen. So that kind of started the fire in the belly pretty much. And then it became more. So I ended up moving away. I went to Orlando for 7 years, and I came back. In the state of the Lower Ninth Ward, New Orleans, period, it was still the same state I had left it in. So, and every time I, come home and I stayed home, it just seemed like as if we was diminishing and was perishing away, and it just seemed like our government was failing us. So I got tired of being failed by my government. So, and pretty much I got tired of seeing a mom walking on the street every day, walking in the middle of the street because it's a black property. She can't walk on the sidewalk. The sidewalk is not visible. So she's now forced to walk in the middle of the street to where she could be hit by a car, and so could her child. And then on that same street you have on Fats Domino and Galvez, that street light don't work. So now I have to run the risk of being hit by a car with not a working street light. And so I was tired of that. I was tired of the education system failing me. I was tired of it failing my father. I was tired of the justice system failing me, failing my father, failing kids, period. So I was just tired of a lot of stuff. I was tired of the school to prison pipeline system. I was tired of the oppression, the poverty. I just got tired. And I said, this is not normal, and it shouldn't be this way. So I said, if we start electing, city workers, people who look like me, spin like me, and act like me, then we can change the way we see government. So that's pretty much why I ran. That's why I'm still running. So.
Yes, thank you for that.
Hope it wasn't too long.
No. In your introduction, I'm hearing some of the things that I want to talk about, especially around housing. New Orleans East, it used to be thriving. The Lower Ninth Ward used to be thriving, which is this district. And I know that there's spotty development taking place, and a lot of it is being hindered by zoning laws and things of this nature. So could you tell us about your plans to push the New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward on forward? I know a lot of people in New Orleans East are eager for some type of economic development. What are your plans around that?
So my plans is to prioritize city workers, so contracts. So because here's the thing, we want economic development in the East. We want the Lower Ninth Ward. It's not fair for us to go all the way to Chalmette to go to Walmart, or if I want to go to the mall, I got to go way in Metairie. It's not fair to do that. So first things first, with the developers, you have to get corruption out of the system, because let's keep in mind, those developers are in the back pockets of politicians. These contracts that they're making, they're bidding on some in the back end too. So if we first, weed that out, say, hey, there's some corruption going on here. Let's get city contract workers. Let's do that. So we get a small business, we bring them in to address that black property. I'm going to hire you and give you a city contract. Or we do get a small business, say, hey, do you want to open up here? This is an empty lot. I'm going to give you the funding for it. I'm going to give you the opportunity. Now I'm going to place it in your community. And it's something I call recycling money back into the community. So if I give you this amount of money, right, and I give you this black property, you pay me a little bit for it, and I give you this black property, because it's just sitting there collecting money, because that developer is living out of state somewhere else. So it's not affecting their quality of life. Their property value isn't going down, ours is. So how about you, because how many code enforcement are we going to throw at you before you render that property to us? So if we take the property back, give city contracts to people in this District E, the Lower Ninth Ward, New Orleans East, that brings back economic development. I'm giving you the opportunity to open up a small business, which does bring kids who are on the streets, who probably get into the wrong crowd, give them a job. I'm getting you off the street, and we bringing on this crime that we so much have in the East. You see what I'm saying? So if I give you a job, I'm giving you money. You're going to put that money back into the community. You're going to spend here, you're going to spend there, and it's the recycling of the money in the community. So that's how I plan to address that. One, black properties and economic development. And also bring in outside people as well. We don't have to always use contracts in the city. It's nice that we do it, but if it's not getting done within house, I'm going to bring outside help out. the one that doesn't have, a backside agenda, and say, hey, can you, because we can get grants. So, hey, can you fund this for me a little bit? Let's open this up. So that's how I plan to do it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Off of just building more off of housing and like putting it into the communities, especially in the East and Ninth Ward where rent is going up, but people from out of town are buying Airbnbs and they're profiting off of those. And so the same like blighted properties you're talking about, that same outside is coming in and buying those and drawing up the prices for people in the East and Ninth Ward. And so, tools like rent caps and tougher enforcements on that you've mentioned in your platform. But what concrete steps would you push to keep housing affordable and prevent the displacement of people in the East and Ninth Ward from New Orleans?
Well, see, I don't think, here's the lower Ninth Ward is being heavily gentrified. I don't think the East is there yet because there's such a bad rep that the East gets. So I don't think we're there yet to where short-term rentals are a big issue there. Now it is huge in the Ninth Ward. Lower Nine not too much, but it's kind of bad. So short-term rentals isn't a big deal in the East. But what I plan on doing is addressing the rent cap. So people in the East. So a little bit of background. So you have to make at least $55,000 to be well. So one person in the household, you have to make at least $30. Just one person in the household. So we're talking, and these are families in the back in the East. So we're talking, I have 5 people in this household. I'm not making $30 an hour. So how am I supporting my family while also paying $1,200 a month for rent? You got to make that make sense. How am I going to afford this? And this becomes the issue of inaffordability. And then we're going to talk about, energy. I can't afford my energy bill. So you expect me to afford my rent? How's that going to work? So I'm proposing a rent cap. So let's assess the area. The lower Ninth Ward makes well below that. They make $29,000.
Right.
That's a huge drop from the East. And the East once was thriving, it still technically is thriving. We have a lot of homeowners back there. But if we place a rent cap and say, hey, let's assess this part of the East. You're making this amount of money, let's place a rent cap here. The lower 9, you're making this amount of money, let's place a rent cap here. That way you can afford your groceries. You can afford your light bill. You can afford your water bill. You can do other stuff as well. Because we do realize, and I keep saying this wherever I go, poverty is a government issue. It's not optional. This is a government-made thing. So whoever tells y'all that, that's a lie. Poverty is not real. Mm-hmm. We choose to do. That's where capitalism comes from, and things like that. That's not real. So if the government does their job, we can address these issues. That way, if you're affording your bills, you got a quality of life. Because if I'm affording my bills, I'm not trying to get into violence. I'm not doing none of that. So that's how I think we can fix the issue of the unaffordable housing. But short-term rentals, like I said, it's not really affecting the East like that. It's not affecting the lower 9. But if it does come to that point, I had a conversation previously about this on another podcast. I don't want to do, a blanket cut of short-term rentals, but it's looking like that's what it might have to be. Just cut the whole thing, honestly. Because there's a lawsuit right now going on with City Council and, Airbnb. Mm-hmm. But I would just a blanket ban, to be honest, until we find a way to address it and make it fair for everybody. Because it's different. We have musicians come from out of town, parents who come here, families that come here. That's different. They want to stay long term. They want to enjoy themselves. But when you think of a short term rental, what do you think of? Parties on the weekends, violence here, violence there, and most of these people are out of towners too, and which is giving us a bad rep. So I don't know, about the lower 9 and in the East as far as short term rentals. It's not a huge issue, but if it becomes an issue, which it kind of already is, I'm just proposing a blanket ban until we figure it out. So that's where I stand on it.
Okay. Integer, because I heard you talking, we was talking about that earlier too, about how my system was on for hours.
Yeah.
I was getting a little nervous about it not shutting off, thinking something was wrong. But I'm also thinking about, man, if this AC is hot outside and the AC is running this long period of time, then my bill is going up. Mm-hmm. It's already knocking on 300 door, and I think that's a little high compared to the rest of the city, or not the city, but the rest of the state. And so Energy and Delta, I've been hearing a lot of people complain about their first bill with Delta was $6. Now it's 40-something dollars, and they're not using much gas. Mm-hmm. And so we do know that Energy bills are high, and now since Delta utilities have taken over, they have they quickly increased their prices. Yeah. So what do you propose or plan to do to kind of regulate what's going on with these utilities the way that it is, because they are becoming unaffordable.
Yeah. But here's another issue I want to acknowledge too. One disclaimer: I do not like energy, so I plan on coming for them hard. If I make it an office, they ain't gonna like me. But once again, corruption is at its forefront. If you have a utility company and I have politicians on the council and the Louisiana state reps taking money from these people, you think it's about to get regulated? I got you in my back pocket. No, we ain't get nothing to get regulated. So first, take the corruption out of it. Because if I'm gonna give you money, ain't nothing changing. This is a transactional thing. Ain't nothing changing. It's just sadly what it is. But city council, they have the right to regulate energy. They just choose not to. If you ask anybody on the city council, say, hey, which one of y'all taking money from energy? I guarantee you about 2 or 3 hands gonna go up because they're taking it. So first, like I said, get the corruption out of there. But city council has the right to regulate them. They just choose not to. So when I get on there, I'm gonna regulate them. I want to audit them and say, I want to see where this is going. Because, and I say this every single interview, energy made $16.2 billion last year off New Orleans residents alone. Not Energy Louisiana, New Orleans alone. And they're also receiving grants from the state of Louisiana. You tell me why $1 billion company needs grants from the state of Louisiana and y'all can't give the school board nothing. You can't give us nothing for affordable housing. You're kicking out homeless people. That's what you're telling me? But I can give energy money? Doesn't make that make sense for me. So what I because Delta, they sold their gas parts, so now it's going to go up. I'm proposing making a municipal. Gas, energy, combined, we control it. That way we can regulate the prices. Ain't no way, but my bill right now is $396. That's for this month alone. You make that make sense for me. You just got to make it make sense for me. And I look at my bill, you can't tell me what this means. You don't even know what this means. So first, more accountability, more transparency, and make it municipal. We need to own this. That way we can regulate it. Now granted, Social Water Board is publicly owned too. We got some issues with that, but we can fix it. But if we put them together, I think, and if we run it, I think we have a better chance of, because it's privately owned pretty much. That's what energy is. It's a private company. It's profit over people. That's what it is. So if we get the corruption out, get the profit over people, kick that out, and we own it, we have the right to regulate it how we want to regulate it, which means fair for all. You're not paying $300 for your light bill. You might be paying like $180. I think that's fair. Just like it reflects the cost of living, I think that's fair. And that's what I plan on doing. Regulating them, transparency, making it municipal. Straight like that.
Kind of combining those, but circling back to kind of what you were talking about before Charles' question, but 20 years after Katrina, New Orleans East, the lower ninth, still struggling. Streets and blight, you mentioned that word often, and just basic services. What is your plan to bring real investment, better services to District E without pushing residents out of that district?
So I think if we have to see what's going on in the East, Black properties, infrastructure, all that, we have to bring the community-led organizers that are in the New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward, bring them to the forefront and put them on the board. Say, hey, I know what's going on because I live there, but what if I didn't? So bring them to the forefront and say, hey, what do y'all see going on, and where do y'all think we need to put this money? Because it's all about money. New Orleans has a $1.8 billion budget. They allocated where they wanted to go, pretty much, and they push more for tourism. And the same people who work in New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward, these musicians, these artists, these cooks, everybody, they go to the French Quarters and they bust their butts to come home to no street light working, a bad infrastructure, potholes everywhere. They just go home to nothing, but I give my all to this particular area. So it's not fair. So bring these organizations to the forefront. Say, hey, what do y'all see? What do you think this should go? And we put them on the forefront. We give them a seat at the table, and I guarantee you stuff will be fixed. It is what it is. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's money. Money goes a long way. $1.8 billion budget. Give more of that to the New Orleans East. Keep it to the Lower Nine. Because we've been forgotten about a tremendous amount of times. And I'll tell you something was so funny because there's Black properties everywhere. So residents are cutting their grass. The city's not cutting their grass. Residents are because they're tired of it. So recently, a resident cut a grass. And this grass hasn't been cut in years. I mean years. And there was a sidewalk. I was like, oh my God, there's a sidewalk. And something so small as that is like, that's very small, but it's huge to me because it's a sidewalk. My child can ride their bike. My mother can get on the sidewalk and bring her kid to the bus stop. I can walk without having to be, hit by a car. I have a quality of life in my district. I have a sidewalk. And then when they cut the grass, you also see a foundation sitting there from Katrina, still sitting right there. And it's like, this is the skeleton of Katrina's past. It's still sitting here. And it marks that we have been forgotten about. We're continuing to be forgotten about because we don't fall into the economic category you think we deserve to be in. See what I'm saying? So that's just a huge issue within and of itself. But bring them to the table. Give them a seat at the table. Yes, they're 401c3. So what? Because I heard mayors at a debate talking about, well, they get money. They should be able to do this. And you get money too. You get a bunch of money. A budget, and you get your salary. So you're not doing your job. So give them a seat at the table. Because first of all, nonprofits do what government don't want to do. So give them a seat at the table and say, hey, where do you see the issues? And give them that budget. Help me out. And I think we work in utopia. Because utopia is not impossible. It's just government doing their job. It's just straight like that.
On several occasions, I heard you made mention of Katrina and how it basically destroyed the city. And, now New Orleans East is vulnerable to flooding and storms.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, this is one of the reasons why insurance to be insured in New Orleans East is higher than the rest of the city.
Yeah.
Because of that. And so because of the drainage and so the question I'm asking is, what specific plans do you have to invest in strengthening the drainage, and also invest in clean energy and all this? So what are your plans in doing those particular things?
So one thing I would say for the catch basins, I think, because at first it was Sewage and Water Board. No, first I'm sorry, it was Public Works, and then Sewage and Water Board took it over. So I think we need to audit them, to be honest. I want to see your budget. I want to see what you're doing because they made a promise to clear out, I think, like 5 catch basins per year, and I think there's like 72,000, and they've only done 1,000 so far, I believe. But you can check my math. Honestly, audit them, see where their money is going. Just see, because if I give you a budget, there's no way. Don't tell me you need more money, because if I'm working with what I got, you got to work with what you got. So what I'm proposing is we audit Sewage and Water Board, we audit Public Works. And I'm suggesting, I don't know how the city would feel about this, is we merge them two together, because I feel like they work really close together. So we merge them, we audit them, see where the money is going. We find out where the money is going. Okay, do we need more? If we need more, then sure. But if we have enough and you're just not doing what you're supposed to do with it, that's an issue. Audit them, see what's going on. So that's my plan for Public Works and Sewage and Water Board, because we can clear that out. And here's where we come in with the city privatized contracts. If you're not getting this done, I'm going to hire city workers, private contracts with them. They can clear that out. They can clear it out. Why not? I don't see why not, because I'm going to throw out a fact here. So the NOPD, their overtime was over $1 billion. City council can write it off real quick. So you tell them you can write off $1 billion, but you can't, prioritize city contracts? That's what you're telling me? So if I got $1 billion, I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to allocate that money. I'm going to hire a private company, city workers. They can clean out those catch basins. So that way when the rain comes, I know I'm not going to be flooded in 3 feet of water. Because I can tell you right now, my car got flooded. So the east, I'm not too sure, but the lower 9, I was flooded. My seats were wet because of those catch basins, and that pump wasn't on. So we audit them, see what's going on. Why it's not working? What do you need help with? Are you doing your job? So that's what my plan is for, the catch basins and the flooding and the issues like that, and holding people accountable. Transparency, because there's no way all these issues are happening and you're turning a blind eye. That's pretty much what it is. Because if you go anywhere else, this is not normal. New Orleans is a special, unique place, full of corruption, lies, no accountability. Let's call it what it is. That's just what it is. Now, as far as the energy, the green energy, I haven't proposed a plan yet, but I'm willing to hear what people's thoughts are, because I do want to push for more green energy. I don't want to tell too many stories, but I moved here from Orlando. My children were never sick. They came here, they were always sick. And then you got under the Trump administration, they're gutting federal funding. Mm-hmm. So what was going on in Cancer Alley, they had a lawsuit. I don't believe that lawsuit is going on anymore, because of the funding that Trump had did. So I'm not too sure how to fix the green, bring green energy, but I do believe if we drive out energy and we put green new deals with them. I know, Devin, you had talked about it too before while you were running. I don't remember what you said, but I had agreed with it. So I definitely want to, get more information on it before I talk about it, but I do want to propose, a green deal.
You mentioned, $1 billion overtime to NOPD. We give a lot of money to law enforcement, policing, what some people call public safety. And so in terms of that, and in particular, they focus on certain areas, especially black areas in the city, then lower 9 in the east, in District E. Do you support shifting resources from police towards community programs?
Oh, 100%. First of all, oh my God.
And what specific strategies, or when we talk about public safety, and what is safety in terms of strategies that you would fund in District E if you do support community?
Okay, so I know I'm live, so I gotta watch what I say. So first, answer the first question. NOPD has a big enough budget as it is. I've always been for, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, I've always been for defunding the police. I'm sorry. I know I can't say that, but I have been for it just because their budget is huge. We don't need weapons of mass destruction. We don't need over policing in certain areas, because all it does, it brings racial injustice, racial profiling, intimidation tactics, and they dismantle. And not all cops are bad. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is the reputation, the mentality that they have is more of an intimidation tactic, racial profiling tactic, and bias tactics. And I don't see, when we have over policing in an area, I don't see it ends well. I don't. Because you have more people are scared. Now granted, the lower 9, we don't have as much, we don't have as much issues as they try to say the East does. The East has a lot of homeowners. We don't have that many issues, just like everywhere else. You go in Tremaine, they got carjackings over there too. You go in Frenchport, they got carjackings, robberies over there too. So what makes the East so different? Why do we have that reputation? Why is that? Is it because it's predominantly black? Why? So I don't think we need to have enough. We don't need that big of a budget for cops. I'm sorry.
So before you answer the second part, so explain why you say what does defund the police mean to you?
So defunding means not taking all of their money away.
Correct.
But taking some of their resources
and putting it
into the community. So we're going to give it to, say, ion surveillance. We're going to give it to another third-party company where I don't have to call the cops. I can call social workers, people who are built for this and designed for this. So if someone's having a mental breakdown or who is autistic, my gun won't get drawn. I'm a mother of an autistic son. Granted, he's only 5 years old, but my child is big. He's 4 feet tall, so he's gonna get huge. So he's gonna reach at least 6'5". So if he has an episode, I don't have to worry about calling the police. It's my neighbor calling the police. Oh, this child is erratic. He's going crazy or whatever. Okay, how about we call the people we funded, social workers, guidance counselors, people like that who's built for this stuff. That way, I don't have to worry about my son being shot by a cop, because they wasn't trained for this particular situation. So when I say defund, take some of those fundings away that they don't need. You don't need all these guns every year. You don't need that. Tell me why. You don't need that. You don't need that. You need something to help you protect. That's it. Give some of that money to these other organizations who are helped and can be built for this. I've seen it work in other countries. In other states. I've seen it work. Baltimore, Maryland. They've done it. Why can't we do it? You know what I'm saying? So when I say defund, I know it's a scary word for some people, but when I say defund, take some of the funding away. Put it where it needs to be. Answer the first question. What was the second question?
The second, and then what are some specific strategies you would fund? You mentioned having somebody else to call besides police. What other strategies are community based if we're taking defunding or taking some of that funding that is in excess of NOPD and putting it where? What would that fund?
Oh, so the community-based organizations there's another one. There's a couple of them that I work with. No Cop is really good. They're not just saying no cops, but No Cops is really good. They focus on police brutality. So they pull up and see what's going on. So giving it to those type of organizations where I'm gonna pull up and make sure you feel safe. Or ion surveillance, that's another good one where they pull up and monitor and stuff like that. Or give it to, like I said, a third-party organization, give it to them, where they can pay people to come out, pay these doctors and these counselors to come out and help these people who are in need. Because when we call the cops, the first thing we think of, you're not protecting the server, you're about to scare the hell out of me. Excuse my language, you're about to scare me. Because I don't know what you're going to do. Are you going to listen to my side? Because we've seen several cases where a cop has been called to people's houses because they're scared, but they've been the one been shot. because, you're a threat. No proof, no evidence whatsoever stating that you have been a threat. But because I fear for my life, the number one line that people use, you got shot, but I called you. You see what I'm saying? Because you felt I was about to pick up a hot bowl of water, or you thought I was reaching for something, or my hand was behind my back. You thought I was doing something I wasn't doing, but I called you. So if we put community-based organizations on the forefront, hire people, put them on the payroll to help the people who are trained and qualified for it, I think we'll see a tremendous decrease in 911 calls, honestly, truly, and we can, allocate resources. So say if this person pulls up, this counselor pulls up, oh, I have resources in my back pocket. I'm going to get you here. I'm going to give you this pamphlet. Because maybe you're going through withdrawals. Maybe you're having a mental breakdown. I'm going to give you the resources as I'm helping you as well. So it's possible. Utopia is possible. We just have to find a way to do it. But we need to get the corruption and the greed out of it. So that's what I plan on doing, answering those two questions.
Speaking of corruption and greed, NOPD is still under the consent decree. And there's always concerns about trust with the NOPD, which you're alluding to. What are the steps you plan to take to instill trust to our residents around the NOPD?
Well, one, we don't have control over it, but I would push to keep the consent decree, to be honest, because we've seen why the consent decree is there. It's not there. It's there for a reason. It's not there for just we wanted to put it there. It's there for a reason. But what I would push for, honestly, training, push for events, bring the NOPD and the residents of the Lower Ninth Ward, New Orleans East, anybody that's in New Orleans, period, and bring them together and say, hey, I know we don't have this great relationship because of my past, and you guys don't feel safe. But if we do a community-led event, bring NOPD officers together with the New Orleans residents, I think we can build trust in that way and just talk about it pretty much. And I think if we do that, it'll serve as a bond because one particular party thinks that they're above the law. We know who that is. And other residents are scared and they're not going to call 911. So we bring them together, build a trust exercise. And as silly as it sounds, put those people in the same room. I think we can grow in solidarity, I believe, because it's possible. There's good cops, there really are. I'm not saying cops are bad. I'm just saying from what we've seen, not all of them are good. You see what I'm saying? So I think if we bring them together, I think it's possible. So that's what I plan to do, to make them feel safer.
You mentioned other cities like Baltimore, which has been in the news a lot, and as an example of trying to cut violence by expanding youth jobs and programming, camps, late night rec centers. There's a lot of examples of that.
I love that they were doing.
Would you commit to like a year-round plan for the youth in District E, and what programs would you start?
Oh, definitely. I've said this beforehand. I said kids from age, we all know this, their frontal lobe isn't developed till they're 21. And violent crimes takes place from these kids from like 11 to 19. It's like the bulk of the violence right there. But when you think about it, not to make this story long, but when you think about it, kids get into trouble because there's nothing to do. There's legit nothing to do. What am I going to do? It's easier for me to buy a gun than to me to get in the program because it takes too long or the backlog is too much. So if we, once again, community-led organizations, bring them to the forefront. There are so many organizations out there. I mean, there are so many. There is Daughters Beyond Incarceration. There's FFLIC. There's Love Thy Neighbor. There are so many. I mean, so many. I can name a lot. There are so many. If we bring them to the forefront, give them money. Because it's all about a money thing. Let's be honest. It's a money thing. Because these nonprofits are working off of barely anything. So it's a money thing. If I allocate this money to you, because city council, I'm not sure how much they get, but they do get a budget. All of them get a budget, and they can allocate that funding somewhere. So if we give them some money, I feel like we can work together with these kids, get something going on. What Baltimore is doing, put more funding into these events and these organizations, we can drop the crime rate. So that's one thing I plan on doing.
The city has spent millions on the jail and the conditions still remain poor. Would you oppose a jail expansion? It's 2 parts. Would you oppose it? And what will you do to support people coming home from jail?
Ooh,
so that they can succeed?
I love this question. Just because former incarceration, like this, I said, it's very dear to me because of my dad. So I love this question. Yes, I oppose an expansion of jail because let's be honest, this is a for-profit system. This has nothing to do with the correctional system. Nothing to do with it. Because if it did, it would be correcting me, not sentencing me to life. for minor crimes. You're profiting off of me. And if we want to be honest, there's the slave labor laws that these inmates do. And I hate the term inmate. These people do. They're working for as little as $1 a day. Burger King use these people. Chili use these people. McDonald's use these people. So what you're telling me is they're valuable enough to work at your location, but they're not valuable enough to correct them and get them off the level of crime that they've been on a better path. That's what you're telling me. So you're telling me I'd rather get free labor off of them than to put them back in a normal society and fix them up. Because once again, we have to remember this is a for-profit country. The jail system is a for-profit incarceration system. This is just a business to them. That's all that it is. So any expansion of a jail, no, it does not work. There's a reason why there's no beds in Angola. There's a reason why there's no beds there and there's no jail here. There's a reason why. You don't have enough people to support it. You're expanding this, you're putting all these inmates here, but not enough people. That's a problem. Clearly, we're incarcerating too many people. We don't need it. It's a correctional system for a reason. Correct it. Fix it. Get them programming. Second part of that question is, once again, it's a money thing. So it's a money thing and it's an informational thing, because we all know the first 72 hours when somebody gets out of jail, that's right there. That's the bulk of it. Am I going to get insurance? Can I get a license? Can I get an ID? Can I get health insurance? Can I get a ride? Can I get housing? So the first 72 plus, I love them. I haven't worked with them, but I love them so much because they do that type of work. Mm-hmm. So the first 72 hours when they get out of jail, they're right across the street from the jailhouse. You can go over there, get some information. So I plan on working with people like that, getting more money to give them money and finding more organizations that do that. Because if we put up a path to success, because people don't realize, once you get out of jail, you're stuck. You don't know what to do. Those first 72 hours will determine if I go back to jail. So I have nowhere to go. I don't know what to do. So if we put funding to where it needs to go with those community-led organizations, give them money like the first 72, you'll see a shift in people going back to jail. But once again, you have to care. So if we don't care, it's not going to happen. So money, 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 money. I'll keep saying this. It's a money thing. It's a money thing. Allocate the money. Give it to where it needs to go. These community-led organizations, give it to them. Because put them at the seat at the table. Give them a seat at the table. Give them a seat. And once we give them money, we can build stuff like this. See what I'm saying? It's not hard.
Yeah. I also just appreciate, you saying you hate the word inmate and saying people first, like formerly incarcerated or incarcerated person, and all of that, just to continue to humanize them. And the same thing goes for, we talked about addiction and mental health, and that police are used often for that, and that our jail is being built to say that this is as a mental health facility, even though they will be incarcerated and all of those things. And so in terms of that, not supporting a jail expansion, what programs and what services would you support to get people mental health and addiction treatment that is clearly prevalent and a problem across our nation, yes, but particularly in this city when we talk about people on the streets, people who are unhoused, all of the failures, and then the people, our catch-all is to put them in jail. Mm-hmm. What other services and programs would you support?
So community centers, they're big. So I work for a community center. They're really, I won't say which one I work for, but they're really, really big in helping. So if we, like I said, put them at the forefront, have events where, they're giving away information, or we can put something up where when they get out, or, a homeless person have an episode, or the person who's getting out of jail, we can give them resources. Say, hey, go here. Get more community health centers, because a lot of times they can help with rehabilitation. They can help with mental health. I can give you resources. I can give you all of this. So investing in our community health centers, I think, are very vital, especially in low income areas. I think they're vital, because you won't believe, where I work, people, they're barely making $35,000 a year, but they're still forced to pay all their bills. A lot of them are elderly too. A lot of them come in with, I have a lot of people come in and say, I just got out of jail. I need to get my teeth fixed. It was terrible in there. They didn't do anything for our mouth or my mental health. So, and we have a program that we set up. It's called a sliding scale. So you can make little to nothing, and we'll still help you. So I think that's really good if we invest in our community health centers. Put them at the forefront. If we have a community-led event, something going on with City Council, I'm going to give you these resources. Go here, go there. So that's just what I think is what needs to happen.
New Orleans, as you already know, is different from anywhere else. And you're saying about you wanting to establish things here that may be different from what Baton Rouge sees, and you know they have constantly brought their ideas here to New Orleans, from state troopers to ICE deportation and facial recognition. So how would you defend New Orleans' right to self-govern itself and stand independently from Baton Rouge?
Because everybody says, "Oh, New Orleans is New Orleans." That they come here for us. They come here for us. They come here for tourists. They come here for us. So if y'all come here particularly for us, let us run us. Let us run our own thing. We don't need any outside help, because we've all seen the more you bring in LSP, Louisiana State Troopers, Louisiana State Police, that doesn't work. You scare people. You intimidate. Once again, you scare. You intimidate. You dismantle. It does not work. It scares people. We don't need more policing. We don't need no more state troopers. Because what people don't realize is the more state troopers we bring in here, the more we're paying these people. Overtime. A lot of money that can go to the city. We can govern ourselves, but we need to elect the right people to govern ourselves. See what I'm saying? So, nothing against Baton Rouge. Y'all great people. But y'all govern yourselves, let's govern us. That's just what it is. Make sure it's sweet.
Off of like policing and more locally, NOPD has been using tools like facial recognition, license plate readers, predictive policing, not a lot of public or little or none public oversight. Where do you stand on the use of these technologies? And if elected, what steps would you take to ensure residents' privacy as well as just keeping the community safe, which is what their intentions are, but what are the actual like realities of that?
So the facial recognition, what it is, I'm glad you brought this up. What it is a live facial recognition, live time. So when we talk about live time, I can be on Bourbon Street just enjoying myself. You facial recognize me, I might be arrested. Parking ticket, you never know. And then I want to also bring attention to this. The developers on that, so co-authors, Oliver Thomas, Eugene Green, they are the co-authors of this thing. So, and we're the guinea pigs. We're going to be guinea pigs on this. And these developers are third-party developers. Money, money, money. So it's not going to help anybody with the facial recognition. So if I could do anything, I would oppose it and I vote it down no quickly, because it doesn't help. We've seen this time and time again. There was facial recognition in the quarters when the Bourbon Street attack happened. Did it do anything? No. This is just a tactic they're using to, one, sell this technology, wrongfully convict again. Because once again, the incarceration system is a for-profit company. This is all this is doing, locking people up and making a profit off of them. That's all it is. I'm just going to be honest. It's just what it is. I'm going to be honest. So anything of that nature, I'm voting no immediately. Because there's other ways we can do stuff. We don't always need we don't need excessive policing. We do not need that. Time and time again, we've shown this. The 90s, we've seen it. From the 90s to up until now, we have seen it. How many examples do you need? We don't need it. So shoot it down. No, we don't need it. What was the other answer to the question?
And then just, what steps would you take to ensure residents' privacy is protected and keeping our community safe?
Just voting no, saying no, I'm not in support of this, and do what I can to say I'm not in support of this. So whatever I can do to say no, I'm saying no. I don't want it. Ensure the public that, hey, I'm pushing for this not to go well. I want to push this out. So I want to ensure you are safe by me just saying no. We don't want to do this. So if I got to stand 10 toes down and keep saying no to make sure I ensure y'all safety, that's what I'm going to do. So.
Well, thank you. You have anything, Devin, that you would want to share? You, Grace, anything else? Well, thank you. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. My rants.
But before you go, would you like to share anything to District E people?
Yeah, I guess what I want to say is, because this is a big race. I have I think 6 people in my district who's running against me right now. So
I think it's more. But
more? I think 6 or 9 people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so what I want to say to the people of New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward, I want you to vote strategically. Don't vote on name recognition. Don't vote on who was there first. Don't vote on any of that. I just want you to vote on who do you think can represent you the best. So, prime example, are they spending like you? Are they going through what you're going through? If they're not, then they cannot represent you because they're so far out of reach with reality, they can't represent you. So I just want to say, vote. Even if it's not for me, vote strategically. You know, look at their platforms. Does it relate to you, your values, and things like that? And if it does, then you vote how you want to vote. But I just ask that you guys vote differently, because if we want to see change, we can't keep voting the same way. So that's what I want to leave y'all with.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it.